You're listening to QCast, presented by Qcella Media. Please consider giving generously to Qcella's nonprofit mission. To find out more about our mission and to make a donation, visit our website at qcast.qcella.org. Your tax-deductible donation will help us continue bringing you quality podcasts just like this one.
I may be bruised, but I'm not broken. You can't take away my soul. You tried to tell me I don't count, but I know in my heart that's not true. So you cannot take me down that path. I'll make it without you. I may be bruised, but I'm not broken. My life counts for something, and you wake up and I'll be gone. You'll know that you were wrong. Welcome to my show, Shades of Gender. I'm your host, Terry Ryan. Each show, we're going to be talking about gender identity, including transgender, cross-dressers, and non-binary gender individuals who self-identify with these groups. The definition of these groups are often misused and certainly misunderstood. Our goal is to identify these groups, listen to their stories, and their journeys in life to get a better understanding of who they are and what they're doing in their life. Today, I'm really excited to have Cole here. Hi, Cole. And Cole is 18 years old.
Yes.
And is from...
I was born in Palm Springs, but I currently live in Palm Desert.
Okay, so she's in Palm Desert and you're going to College of the Desert,
yes,
right?
College of the Desert.
And you are majoring in?
History. I'm a history major.
Which is going to lead you to?
I don't know yet, but I just know that I love learning about it and that I really appreciate history and I appreciate other people's ideas and cultures and whatever. And I just think it's really interesting to learn about the past because, you know, how are you supposed to learn? Like, it's kind of like that saying about how are you going to know your future if you don't know your past?
Right, it repeats itself.
It repeats itself. So.
Well, you know, I have to tell you, we need to talk about, so our audience understands, where you're coming from on our Shades of Gender. Mm-hmm. So how do you identify in the gender scale?
I identify as transgender, but I think for sure I just use trans because it's easier. But yes, I'm a transgender woman. I don't obviously don't just say that because, it's really safety-wise, I don't really say it, but in this case, yes.
You know, it's interesting because I'm dealing with, this community, trans and the shades of gender community, the cross-dressers and everything non-binary, over the years. And I've been doing this, I'm really involved in the community maybe 6 years. And what I've seen is in the past 6 years, even since I first started getting involved, is how society, though still misunderstood in many of the different groups, but being a younger trans woman is appears to be an easier road than some of the people that have, some of the trans women that have struggled for years that haven't been able to come out or even talk about it.
Most
they didn't even have a definition.
It's sad.
Except for transsexual, which had a negative connotation to it.
Or transvestite.
Or transvestite. Nothing was like transvestite was one for cross-dressers and you had tranny and you had this negativity associated with it.
Definitely.
So when the word transgender came out, which I thought was going to be like a blanket term for kind of everyone that had gender identity, I don't want to say issues, but it is issues and challenges is probably a better word. But I think then it became the transsexual term. I think then became transgender. And I think
using transsexual now is just very outdated. It's like we're not in the 80s anymore. Like we really aren't. And it's also when it comes to the word tranny, I still hear gays use it a lot actually when they refer to me, and it's like if you're out there and you're listening, then you need to understand that it's not a good word to use. It's not. It's like a derogatory term for us. And it's like, we're not just like trannies, so it's like, like we're people.
Yeah, so you look at it's transsexual as a term, and tranny would be both negative words to use.
I would say tranny is like the derogatory term to use. Transsexual is just outdated. It's kind of like, that used to be like the official term.
Yeah, that was the technical medical term.
Medical term.
It was a medical term for.
And now, we've upgraded to sound like as it should, which is transgender.
So transgender, and obviously transgender woman. So here's something that I think our audience would like to know, and I certainly do. When did you first identify as a transgender?
I think, my first ever experience feeling, I guess, different was when I was in middle school. I definitely told myself, and I knew that I felt different, and that I knew for some odd reason every single time I looked in my future, in my dreams or anything, I was a girl, and I didn't know why. And I never thought twice about it. I just was like, whatever, it probably won't happen. And then I finally told myself and came to terms at being that I was trans when I found the vocabulary, and I was able to find people on YouTube and who are struggling with the same, thing, that I am trans. And so I didn't decide.
So when you say in grade school,
I'm
10,
saying 9. I was probably around 10, 11.
And then prior to this time, let's say 10 or 11, did you ever cross-dress or think of,
It was funny because I always tried my mom's clothes on. I always tried my dad's clothes on.
Oh, so you just tried clothes
I
on.
just loved clothes. That was the thing. I just loved clothes.
Okay, well, you're just a clothes person,
and it was never cross-dressing, and my mom always was.
So you played dress-up.
I played dress-up. It wasn't cross-dressing. It was you being a kid. Straight kids do it too, and you can't sit here and act like you don't, because I know you did.
Yeah, right.
I know you tried your mom Louis Vuitton boots on.
I
know you tried them on.
Yeah, I didn't try a lot of the male stuff, but we're always looking around their drawers, aren't we? I mean, I used to go into my mom's drawer. I remember still to this day feeling so guilty,
I know.
Going in, and I don't know what we were doing in there. It was just like, right? What did you find?
I remember one day I was wearing my mom's maroon Fendi boots, and I was walking around the house, and I was walking better in the heels than my aunt, because she was there. And then I heard the garage open. It was my dad. And so, oh my God, I sounded like those girls that are running in the club with the clattering of the heels, and I ran so. I don't know why, but I just got scared.
Well, yeah.
And you obviously.
First of all, you're wearing your mom's shoes.
Yeah.
And then you're a male wearing your mom's shoes. A male at that time, a boy. I mean, your family didn't know you were transgender.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Girl yet, so
Yeah, and I think it's important to as a child to explore not only clothes but creativity. And I think if you have that open space as a child, then you'll be fine.
So do you think your parents were, I know you said, were open to you?
My mom was.
Exploring?
My mom has always told me, I've always been surrounded by all walks of life. And my mom's always told me you never judge people. Only God can judge you. You never, you know what I mean? You don't be mean, you be nice. I was just very, she was very, very liberal. And I'll be honest, at a time when that just wasn't going on, she was telling me things, about, all the things that were going on in the news, and about same-sex marriage and da-da-da-da. And I had a gay uncle, and I had my mom, I was just
Was that your mom's brother who was gay?
No. But it was he was like a brother.
Right.
And so, anyway, I've always been surrounded by it. And so my mom's always been very open about it, and always would talk about anything. I had any sort of question about whether it be sex, drugs, anything I had. She always answered in an informative way of not shedding any of her own opinion on it, just giving me the facts.
So you came from a open environment.
My mom.
My mom. Your mom. Okay.
My mom. My dad was different. It wasn't really. I guess it wasn't bad, but it wasn't he was fully accepting at first. I think at first it was he was very it's just a phase.
So when did you say at 11?
Well,
when did you actually have a conversation with your parents?
Well, I just kind of, I know I knew in my mind it was a big deal to come out and say that. And so I was like, you know what, I feel this one way, but I don't know how I'm going to feel in a year, or in 6 months, or in 2 months.
And this is when you were what age?
11 or 12. Okay. I was in 7th grade, I think. Mm. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to wait it out. And so I waited about a year and a half, when I was a freshman, is when I actually came out as trans. And like,
so how did that go, and how did you do that, and
Well-
what gave you the courage or the the commitment that to say, this is where I am, and this is what I need to inform my family.
I'd
Takes a lot of
probably
courage.
say once I really wanted to make sure like my brain was in the right place. I really, really wanted to make sure that like my decision was right. And so I wanted to make sure like I had the time to make my decision. And so I did. And when I finally did, it was like liberating. You really are like, it really does feel like so much weight is off your, because if you think about it, everything in your life that's going wrong is due to this one fact. Due to this one thing that you just can't
And that
sit there
you're
and be
hiding,
yourself.
right? I mean, what
and you're
was-
practically hiding, yes.
And what
I
was-
still wore makeup, right? Like males and makeup, that whole thing was actually starting to gain momentum when I started high school.
Right.
And so it was kind of at first like, okay, I'll just wear makeup because like I don't want to da-da-da-da. And then everyone started asking questions and I was like, oh God, here we go, and it was kind of like, I don't know yet. Like I just like makeup. I just like, And so when I finally came out as trans and was like, oh, like we knew, and I was like, yeah, I just wanted
Did they say that? Would you say your closest friends or just people
I
that
feel
were
the
your
first
students?
person I came out to was my mother, obviously, and I never really had to come out to anyone else because it was like obvious, you know what I mean? And I
So
don't
when you
really
say
know.
obvious, let's
Like I definitely wasn't straight. Like
Okay.
at first, obviously, like that
so
was
they
obvious.
probably thought you were a
But-
gay man.
Yeah.
That you were,
And
or a gay child, or that
Yeah, I
you were,
was a gay-
you're
I was a
on your
gay
way,
child.
you're playing with the makeup
Yeah.
and the hair, and they probably, because the first thing that I'm seeing is that because of where our society is now, you don't automatically think trans, you think gay.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think a lot of people just like jumping to conclusions so they can like immediately find something to call you or label
Right,
you.
they
and
want to
stuff.
label you, which is,
Exactly.
you're
you hear about
already
it a
labeled
lot.
by the time you're 11.
Yeah.
They're already trying to
Well,
label
even,
you
I mean,
into being
even
something you
as
weren't.
like the moment, I feel like after the age of 8 was when like those ideals of being like you're a guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I remember I was very like flamboyant and open when I was in elementary school. I remember telling me like, you're too much of a pansy. Like you do like all these things. And I just didn't know what that was. I was like, I'm just being me. You know what I
So
mean? Like,
what kind of things? I mean, were they feminine things?
yeah, I
that
guess
you're
the
doing
way I
that?
walked, the way I talked, the way I was only friends with girls. I only had girlfriends. I never had guy friends because
'Cause
I
you're
just felt
comfortable with
uncomfortable. No, I
the
felt
girl.
uncomfortable in like with guys because it's like, what if they do find out, or God forbid, like I say something, or it wasn't a comfort
So
zone for me.
you almost felt, correct me if I'm right about this, you almost felt like you're hiding
Most definitely.
beneath this veneer.
yeah,
that
this is my mask.
This is your mask.
Exactly.
And being around women, then you could talk about things that women talk about
Exactly.
and be
And it made me more
yourself,
comfortable.
and it made you happy.
And at the end of
Right.
the day, all the gays go to the girls.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And it's kind of just like, it's because they're going to be, a lot of women are just more acceptable. I
Well-
mean, some women are, but you know what I mean? In middle school, at least, or like in school, it was
And
always
that's who
the
you
girls.
gravitate to. Years ago
Yeah.
when I used to, our family used to go on a vacation. I was from Chicago, and we used to go to Florida. And there was every year we took 2 weeks down to Florida, and there was families that met us. And there was a guy who was a very close friend of mine who had a twin brother, and he was very feminine. And I don't know what today. Back then, we didn't talk about it, but either he's gay or he's trans. I mean, I'm not sure because
Yeah.
he was 15, right? But I don't know.
But I do want to say this is that we, I think as a society, just need to like understand like, why do you care? Like it just doesn't affect you.
Well, that's what
and
I
it's
was gonna
also
get to.
like why, like even just like the idea of like creating all these like like labels you can say, but it's just like let people figure themselves out first, because it's like a lot of the first things that we do as like I guess queer individuals in general
Right.
is we experiment, we find out what we like, because we didn't have the time that many other people had to find themselves and to find out what they like or who they like. and the clothes they want to wear and the things they want to do and the people they want to meet. You don't get that. Once you come out, you want to do it all at once.
Well, and you also, once you're labeled, then you have expectations.
Exactly.
So
not really expectations, but you fall.
Well, then people have it in yourself. You almost become what they say you are. Exactly. So, like this person I was talking about, this young boy, I don't know. It didn't matter what he was. Yeah. And I, as a child, didn't label anything. All I know is that he was always there for me. We sit on the beach and we talk about everything. Yeah. And we didn't have labels. We didn't talk about cisgender, and we didn't talk about trans, and we didn't talk about gay. We
just talked on a human
level. We didn't talk
about,
gender identity. Yeah. And I think our society is so hung up on wanting to put you into a box of who you are, and it gets
most
to be.
Definitely.
I think it's detrimental to.
Well, it's also this thing, validation. Like, I don't need to validate anything to you, and I'm sick of people trying to say, like, prove this. Like, I don't have to prove anything to you. Like, I am who I am. Like, I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. If you like that, if you don't like that, I'm sorry you feel that way. I really am. You can leave. Like, and it's kind of like, how are you gonna sit here and tell me to validate myself to you for what? Like, I'm sick of trying to validate that I'm a woman for you to understand where I'm at. I'm done with it. I'm here, I'm real, and I'm very validated within myself. So it's kind of like, I think that's like another thing, is just always asking us as like a community to validate ourselves.
To validate it,
will never be validated in some people's eyes. It just never will. So it's like, why do you keep asking the question?
Right. Well, you're a very attractive woman.
Thank you.
You obviously pass. I mean, you look like a woman. If I didn't know you were born male, I would have no idea. So, I mean, I think it's, in many ways, it's going to be easier for you.
Society-wise, I guess.
Because you're going to blend in. You're not 6'4", a huge frame. I mean, you look like just an attractive woman. So, you still have to deal with your own journey. Yeah. But it's going to probably be easier for you than some people that.
True, but I think it's also like people have this idea of what a trans woman is supposed to look like. Like, you don't look trans. And when I tell people I'm trans, they say that you don't look trans, and it's like, what does trans look like?
That's
so it's kind of like what these people are expecting is a man in a dress. Right. At the end of the day, that's what they see. Right. Like, you're still just a man in a dress. When they see me, they're not mad that I'm trans. They're mad that they're attracted to me, and that they saw me and they're like, oh wow, right. And I have this conversation and I tell them, and they're like, oh, they're not mad about me being me. They're mad about their desires.
Oh, we've got a lot of work to do in our society, don't
we? We really do.
We really do.
And it's like, no trans woman has to look the same. A trans woman's femininity is her own.
That's right.
And how she wants to present that to the world and to society is her and her choice alone.
Well, I think there's a certain prejudice that's going on now, too, is that our society then wants, okay, if you're going to be trans, then you're going to have to look like a model, and you're going to have to be beautiful.
You're going to have to.
And you're going to, and that's what we're going to accept now, because you look okay. And look at that, now you look like a woman. Right. So here we go again. So, it's going to take time, I think, again, for the
gender is a social construct. And I don't think people ever really will understand. I mean, certain people do, but it is. Mm-hmm. People didn't just make male, and people made it. We as a society made it, and then created what I like to call genderfied things when it comes to colors. Like colors, it comes to clothes. I mean, the way you drink a water bottle. I mean, people have told me that's the way, you cross your leg. Everything is genderfied is what I like to call it, because it is. And it's sad. And like sports are genderfied. When I did gymnastics when I was young, everyone told me, that's a girl sport. You run like a girl, like all these things. And it's funny because people used to tell me, you do this all like a girl, and da-da-da, you're like a girl. And then when I actually decided to transition into a girl, still wasn't good enough. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, what do you want me to be?
What makes, you know what I mean? And then I finally got over, what do you want me to do, and what should I do? What can I do? And I stopped focusing on everyone else's opinions on how I should look and what I should do, and just focused on myself and bettering my emotional state, I guess.
Well, I think this goes for everyone. It's very mature of you, by the way.
Thank you.
You're very mature for 18. Let me tell you, I wish I was that mature at 18. But you're learning that you can't please you can only please yourself, and that if you try to please
If
other people,
you're pleasing everyone, you're not doing something right.
right.
You're not supposed
Well, you
to
can't please everyone.
You can't.
I
It's
mean, you
impossible,
can't
and it's
please-
kind of
yeah.
like if someone is mad
Why
at what you're
should you?
doing or who you are, you're doing something right.
That's right.
And it's kind of like
Well, it's their own sense of reality
Exactly.
too, of how what their prejudices are, what their
people's
what their
own
background is.
views on myself isn't about me; it's about them.
So I have a question for you. As where you are today,
Mm-hmm.
and your birth certificate says you're a male.
No.
So it doesn't.
I got all that changed.
All right.
Thank God.
Okay. So
Before I was 18.
Before
so
you're
I
18.
got a new birth certificate, new social security
So
number.
you are.
In the eyes of the law,
In the eyes of the law, you
female.
are a female. And so, how does that happen? I mean, what kind of procedure is that? I don't know how that
actually
works.
had. It's expensive, first of all. 'cause
I'm
I had
sure
to
it is.
change
So you
my
have to
name.
make money on that, of course.
And so
lot
not
of
only
lawyers
that,
making money, right?
court fees, and thankfully my mom.
signed off on it because you're under
Yeah.
18, right? Is that by law? You have to sign off if you
Yeah.
change your.
You have to change your parent has to do
your
it.
daughter's or your son's
Exactly.
gender. You have to sign
And so not only was it court fees, and then
sex, I should say.
I had to wait at least, a couple months at least. And so this was when I was turning 16. And so I couldn't get my license with everyone else because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go in there and get my license and be embarrassed when one of the people that said, it says male here, all loud, right? Why is your name William? Da, da, da.
Did they make you go through any like to see a psychologist, or did they
No,
make you go through anything?
that whole bullshit of going through a psychologist to tell people who you are is, I think it's
So that
ridiculous.
it's not required.
At least for me, it wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't have to go to a
Did
psychiatrist.
you have to hire
know.
a attorney then to put through the paper?
No, my mom did it.
Okay.
She knows how to do that.
So she had a
She actually
right-
just took her bar.
Oh, she did.
Yeah,
Oh,
so she's-
congratulations.
Yeah.
She took the test.
She took the test.
We're
We're waiting
for the results.
Yeah, we're waiting for the results.
Gosh, what a cool woman.
I'm praying.
Oh, I hope so too.
I know. I mean, honestly, God chose her to be my mother. I couldn't have asked for a better mother. It really is. Like, I really could not have asked for a better mother.
I'm so happy.
Oh, I love her so much.
Now, are
but
you living with her now?
mostly
Oh, no.
full time.
Okay, mostly
yeah.
full-time.
Only because it's hard moving from house to house when you're 18 years old and you have
And your
school.
parents are divorced.
And my
so-
parents are divorced.
And you have an older brother, you said, at 21.
my brother's 21 and my little sister's 9.
And she showed me a picture of her and
She's
tell me about her. She's adorable.
But it's funny because I remember telling her, and she's like, yeah, like Coley's a girl. Like, you know what I mean? It's weird because to kids, it makes total sense.
Right.
They do not even question it.
Right.
They don't.
No,
You tell them
'cause
how it
they're-
is.
you know why? 'Cause they're honest.
They're honest and they're children and
Right.
they understand like, okay, if that's just you, that's
So
just
she always
you.
saw you as a girl?
Always.
Yeah. And she's
And it's kind
9,
of like,
so,
she's 9 years
right.
old. And so it's like, when she realized, she was like, well, like, everything you do is a girl and like everything the way you act and everything else is a girl. So, it didn't boggle her mind like it does everyone else. And I think it's so important because that's just another reason to inform kids of all people about, the LGBTQ community in general, because there's so many my community and even like my community, the trans community is stigmatized in general. And it's like, if you can like educate kids at least on this, because I explain this to kids and it makes total sense. They don't even bat their eyelashes. They're like, just whatever. Like, yeah, that's cool.
Isn't
like,
it tremendous?
It
starts early.
Exactly.
It
It
starts
starts
that
early.
conditioning you were talking about.
and it's not
of
even, it's not really
acceptance.
conditioning. It's just sitting there and saying like, yeah, this is who they are.
Right.
Like,
But
you know?
not pre.
You're not. I'm not saying
defining.
say. Oh, you have to love that. Like
Right.
I'm not saying you have to like force it, but I'm saying you need to like keep kids' minds open and like not fill their heads with your own opinion.
So let me ask you this: where do you think then is you're living your gender, sex on the birth certificate as a woman, you're self-defining as a transgender woman. So you could, and you look like a woman, and you act like a woman, and you are a woman. So you could actually just be a woman and not even say you're a transgender woman. So I mean, at some point now, I don't know. I don't know where you are. On
I
your
could choose that path.
full transformation. I don't know where you'll be.
Oh well, I want
your
to get
surgery.
my surgery.
Yeah.
It's definitely something.
And
that
you're
I wanna do.
18, and
I
you know.
just turned 18.
Right.
2 weeks ago.
Right.
So
And you can now.
and now that I'm 18, I
legally do it.
have I can finally do it.
Right.
But I'm hoping to get it at the end of this year during the summer before I go to college, like at least 4-year.
Right.
Because
right.
I just don't want to go there. Like, I don't want to, I want to be able to have a college girl like experience. That's
right.
what I want. And I've
You're paying a lot of money. You might as well have
exactly. And I've wanted
those 4-year universities are
and
expensive.
It's like, it's
so
not
you want to
really,
have that college girl experience.
Exactly.
Drink your,
drink my liquor, and I want to have as many one night stands as I want.
Right.
And not feel the need.
Right.
To be like,
so
okay,
it's on your radar
to
have
yes,
it
most
done.
definitely. I'm getting my bottom surgery and my top surgery at the same time.
You are. Okay.
Yes, it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because they said that your bottom surgery is going to hurt so much that your tits are like nothing.
Oh,
they're
nothing.
like,
oh yeah,
whatever.
that's gonna be.
So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that. But yes, I am
come
planning on
visit
getting.
you. Let me know where you are.
Oh my God,
I will do that.
yes.
I'll bring you flowers.
Please.
Okay. Yeah.
And food.
And food. Okay. I'll
Please
bring you
bring
chocolate.
food.
You like chocolate?
Oh no, like pho. Pho.
Pho. Oh, you do?
I love pho.
Okay. That's
I love soup,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're running out of time, but I do want to have you back because I just absolutely love your journey.
Thank you.
Love the fresh attitude toward the gender identity, and that you are moving forward and you understand yourself and your conviction. I think you could help be a role model to a lot of people that are struggling to feel good about themselves, right?
That's my goal. Is I really just want everyone to realize that people forget that I'm still 18 years old. I'm in college. I'm just trying to live a normal life. Like I said to you on the phone,
I just want to be a girl.
I just want to be a girl. Like, let me be an 18-year-old girl. Stop trying.
In some ways, and maybe when you go to college and you get through your surgery, maybe you just need to go to college and be a girl and not have to go.
Honestly,
they have to walk around with signs saying I'm a transgender woman.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's
do you
not
look
the
forward
first
to just be a
thing.
girl?
Well, this is the thing. I think
woman?
the other aspect for me is like dating. It's really hard, and I think I don't like to say that men are a big part of being trans. It's more about the treatment by men and of how what's the word? It's a big part because to a lot of our sexual experiences, they aren't real. They are fetishized, and they're used as a way to dehumanize us in a lot of ways. And I've been in those situations with guys where it's like, you don't really feel like
you're not
human.
here for me. You're here for what
you think of me.
Right.
You're here because you think I'm the girl on the magazine cover.
Right.
That's what you think. And so it's no longer about like two people having a connection. It's just about like being treated not like literally being dehumanized. And so you're just practically a fetish at this point.
So in some ways you almost are. That's my question too. Do you think you're better off when you go to college, you're away from town?
Yes.
That you're going as a girl
I think
versus a transgender
this is the thing.
woman or girl.
I think
just let you be a girl and let you be the woman that you
the thing
are.
About here in the Valley is just so many people know me, and so it's kind of like
it's
I can
hard
never here. It's honestly not safe at a certain point because I don't know who knows. I don't know who's going to tell anyone. I don't know if I go to a party and some guy comes up to me, starts talking to me. What am I supposed to do when they tell him? You know, what if he has a gun? What if he has something? What if he wants to hurt me now? You know what I mean? It's that constant worrying.
Well, it's horrible that you still have to go through that. And I think, again, our society needs some, on one hand, I want you to...
trans women are dying as of right now. I don't know if you knew about black trans women.
But
they're being murdered.
I just saw it.
They're being murdered.
In some ways,
nothing is being investigated.
For your community, you want to come out as a trans woman and be proud of it. On the other hand, you want to be that's the new conflict.
And listen, I have the privilege of passing and everything. But I think it's really understand that it's for people to understand that we all really struggle with the same thing and like the body dysphoria, and it's like no matter how pretty I look to you, I will always in like the back of my mind be telling myself, you're just a man. And it sucks, and sometimes you really have to like get out of that mindset, but it's always there.
I understand.
And it's sad and it sucks because I know it's not true,
right?
But when everyone else is telling you that you are,
it's a very important
it's hard to say I'm not, or it's kind of, you know what I mean? There's all these ideas about you. So
all right, well listen, I hate to cut this.
No,
I could go on with you forever.
I could
so
too.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you back again.
Yes.
Okay, we'll future for not too far down the line.
Yeah.
So I'll catch you again. And
Yes.
Cole, I really, really enjoyed this very, very
Thank
much.
you. I enjoyed
did.
talking.
You're just the best.
Thank
so
you.
I'll look forward to you next time. And I want to thank everyone out there that's listening to Shades of Gender. I really appreciate you being part of this conversation on gender identity. And thank you.